Well, hello everyone. We're here to talk about for Pay It Forward right here. And what does Pay It Forward pretty much mean? Well, it means is toward a message for a situation, for the future, right? And it could also be, about gift, exchange, right? And a lot of times that's usually how I put it, is that, if you're going to go ahead and be writing a note of talking about what does it really mean when we do talk about pay it forward, and I can go ahead and put on here that really, I could also mean for a claim, and I know a lot of customers would even say too that sometimes it could also be related to a claim, like if you're going to be you working a claim or something like that, that it could also mean a claim, and it could maybe also be related to about is toward that a special thanks, and usually a special thanks is usually what I would think about too, is like special thanks, and so really that whenever we come to those situations to where that even if it's at the pharmacy counter a lot of times, even at the airports, right? And so you're thinking as to where that whenever we do think about a lot of situations that come up to where if somebody was trying to buy something, or maybe if they were trying to take care of something, and a lot of times it's like if it is related to about that something that they're trying to read, or maybe if it is, I'm like, so it's like so a lot of times it's like that situation could be a number of things, right? But still that one way of how to realize and begin that the situation would also be about as to where they talk about is that is it related to the future of what something something special is about, right? So each time we do think about that, and it sure seems that way, that the one thing that we can keep in mind is talk about for something special. What does that mean when we do talk about something special? And it means is to where that somebody that sees something that they would like to, I'm like, for more assistance, right? So it's like each time we do think about that, I talk about for pay it forward right here, is to where well, it's okay, it'll get taken care of, and so really that if you were to, if I were to add that right here too, that it's it it is going to be okay. It's taken care of. So it is taken care of. So so if you were to start out a sentence like that, and like everybody else might say that most receipts and invoices, of course, I guess say they're not really going to explain everything, but let's just say that if you were to like but still, if you were to be reading any sorts of messages like this right here in a 102, is toward that you see like on an invoice about that there's about maybe two or three people that responded, and but still it's like but when we do talk about ticket moving forward, when we talk about pay it forward, the ticket forward, but then also to pay it forward pretty much means is toward that pay it forward is a message to your message for the future to when when someone is wanting to help someone, and for a special gift of kindness. So you want to kind of think about that way, right? And so it's like so each time I think about that, it sure seems that way that that when you go to the situations to where if you're going to be in the store shopping around, and let's just say that if you find something that maybe somebody else could use, so a lot of times that's usually what it is, gift. Somebody else you think about someone else who could use this, and so yeah, so you would include something like that as to where that yeah, that whenever you are shopping around, and let's just say that shopping around, that you find things that maybe somebody else could use, and maybe if you think that okay, whenever something's in stock, right, and talk about forgiving, and so really that and I know that there's different ways of how you can show the gift tags and everything and certificates, but I know with me though that a lot of times is that number of times if you've been in that same situation that maybe somebody else like show some assistance for somebody else, right? And it sure seems that way that really if there's really any sorts of answer to where the why even though if you don't know the person, even if you don't know them, if even if you don't know the other personnel very well, and yeah, even if you don't know the other person very well, you still would like to help out just because you have you have been there, and so that's why it seems like yeah, that so each time we do think about that a lot of times, and it's like you're always want to know too that that whenever it comes to understanding about is to where that yeah, you would like, and so yeah, you've been there in that situation before, and with others. So yeah, if you've been in that situation before, and 102 is toward that you want to go ahead and show the gift of kindness, right? But really, that what's a good way of how to explain? I'm talking about for the pay it forward right here. Talking about for gift exchange, and it's like yeah, something for somebody else at need. So this is really what I want to talk about right here. Is talk about for at need. So like let's just say that if you do meet somebody else who is you at need for something that maybe that and a lot of times it's like yeah, it could also be about is to where it's somebody is needing help with reading something. Okay, what does this say or what does that say? And so really that you've been on that this situation to where that that maybe if something was on higher demand, and so like let's just say that the situation could also be about as to where that for a higher demand. When it comes to getting something done, and realizing what the situation is, and it could also be a few days later, but on the other hand, it sure seems that way. It sure seems that that yeah, that it's all about realizing those situations. So each time you do think about that, and you're thinking as toward yeah, it's your for the future. So like let's just say that if somebody were to say something like yeah, well I got something for you, and yeah, so it's like it could be maybe a letter, or maybe it could also be a special delivery or something like that. So a lot of times, every time I think about a story like this, I don't really call it pay it forward. I actually call it a special I call it a special gift of kindness. I actually call it a special gift, and I know, like everybody else would say, is that if you want to kind of look at it more, just a little bit more like special, like really, what is special about that? But really, I really look at it more as special. But they say that ticket, it's all about pay it forward, meaning as to where that if you've been in those situations to where that you were trying to get something done, or maybe if you were shopping around, and let's just say if you ran a if it was about that if it was about paying for something, or maybe doing something, or maybe signing something, you were needing assistance with reading something, and so it's like a lot of times each time you do like being helpful, and so it's like each time you do think about that, and your 102 is to where the number of times that you have struggled with a lot of things, and like let's just say that like everybody say that you can't really tell the future, but if you were to like I can go ahead and just start another line down here and change this right here, but let's just say that if I were to include a message right here at the bottom, and let's just say that this message could also be a private message or something like that. Like I heard I heard about what happened. I heard about what happened, in which I So if you were to actually write something like that, and maybe in smaller, print, right? And you always want to know too that why is it that maybe a lot of professional writers would maybe prefer that, and that want to know too that why is it that you would maybe write a message like this, saying that you're sorry and you heard about what happened, and that that for more assistance, and you're like you're not alone, and so it's like number one, it sure seems that way, like everybody else would say, is toward it that you would maybe write a message, and like let's just say if it's a personal message or something like that. So a lot of times that whenever you do read these situations, and a lot of times you're always thinking as to where that if you're going to be writing a message, like let's just say that any comments and suggestions, a lot of times that you're going to go and make that in smaller print, right? And it's like, why do you think that you wouldn't want to start out the message in smaller print and compare to right up here up above? And people might say that, well, really, that I think that it's really all about the fact that whenever it comes to understanding about that, you don't know what their reactions are going to be, and a lot of times that I think that that's really what it is that you go ahead and respond. I'm like but you don't really know what they're going to say and what they're going to agree with, and so that's why it seems like that you go ahead and write like that, maybe write on the side here to where it's maybe not everybody's really going to see it, but still you are really it makes you real nervous knowing about what is it that their comments and what they had to say about that, and so that's why it seems like that you go ahead and write smaller, so that way you can go ahead and write in the background, so that way they won't see that right away, but still. So really, that's usually what I do, but I would really I would really recommend that unless if we're talking about that, if you really start running out of space, or maybe that there's any technical problems to where that you cannot respond in a bigger text or something like that, that you would go ahead and write a message right down here on the bottom, like everybody else would say that you would see messages like this right here appear maybe on the bottom, maybe that if there's any comments that you leave about that document, and let's just say that if you were to ask you to make any corrections to a document or something like that, but really that I just really think that talk about for sharing knowledge, and so really it may seem like that you're not really doing it any good by sharing knowledge whenever it comes to learning something, right? Sharing knowledge means is to where that a lot of things not everyone really understands, and that is why I did not get the job. But this is something I am still working on. I'm still working on, but then also when it comes thinking about people at need, you also think about special things, and what do I mean by special things? Meaning is by that special things is toward that you realize you realize what the situation is. You are willing to take the extra time to get the situation under control, and that you're getting the situation so a lot of times it's like so the way we think about that right there in 102, that that write messages like that, realizing the situation, right? But it's like pay it forward, and so like let's just say that message for the future, for the future meaning is to where that do you really have to be there? Or just guess, or assume, just in case the situation were to happen, knowing knowing what you should do. So it's like so pay it forward can be a number of situations, really, but situation. But I just really think in a lot of ways that whenever it comes to assuming and all, but it sure seems that way, that each time we do speak about something special, a lot of times that's usually the way I think about. But still, I just want to tell everybody here about to talk about gift, and let's just say that with gift, it could be it could be for mom, or it could also be for mom, dad, and mom, dad, and I was also thinking too that what about cousin? Cousin, it could also be an in-law. It could also be an in-law or a best friend or something like that. But still, that you may never know. Like everybody else would say, is toward it whenever you do make friends, and a lot of times that's usually the situation, right? that yeah, the situation could also be at the airport. The situation could also be maybe at the traffic stop, or maybe at the gift store, somewhere like that. So it sure seems that way. That yeah, that the story kind of connects just a little bit. So like it sure seems that way. The story kind of connects over the fact that it's being taken care of, and yeah, do you know this person, and yeah, do you so yeah, I would also like to talk about knowing, is like knowing the situation, and what does that mean when we do or if we don't know about the situation? I can go and put on here that maybe in comma right here, and put like parenthesis right here for I didn't know, and so yeah, those situations happen a lot, and I've seen them before. Knowing and then not knowing. You didn't know, and you didn't know the situation. So it's like, what exactly does that mean? Well, that not that it sure seems that way. That what does that mean? Well, I compared to what I did not know from before. What I did not know from before. So really, that yeah, the situation. Not knowing the situation. But really, that each time we do think about that, and you're always want to know too that yeah, that whenever something doesn't work, or maybe whenever you're trying to figure out something, right, and you're always want to know too, is that yeah, that but talk about for ticket movement, talk about for moving forward right here, pay it forward, and that when we do talk about for pay it forward, a special gift, and yeah, so it's like talking about, yeah, I can go ahead and right here talking about, I know, and then so yeah, a lot of professionals would even say that it would maybe make more sense to go ahead and start a new line, toward I did not know, and so yeah, a lot of professionals would probably prefer it that way. You go ahead and just start out a new line toward what is it that you do know about the situation, and compared to what is it that you do not know. Like, and yeah, well, be kind to our seniors. Our seniors, and to those who are at need for getting something done, and to realize what the special gift of thanks means. So each time we do say thank you, a lot of times, every time we do say thanks, for realize the special thanks, right? And you're always want to know too that really, what does all that really mean right there? Well, really that do you, I'm like everybody say, whenever you do type something, and let's just say that if you, I'm like, yeah, you can include maybe up to 5 paragraphs of something, but the things for what you do know and from what you didn't know, and I can include talk about for senior citizens. I'm like, for the seniors, the seniors, and for those with mental, with mental disabilities. With those with disabilities, and then with the veterans. With the veterans, right? And so, Mike, yeah, so So it sure seems that way that yeah, okay. Oh, I'm trying to get it in there, but anyway, but for what I do know, and then for what I didn't know, I can okay, yeah, I did not know that they were veterans or registered nurses or doctors, and that is why that the situation would need to be recognized. And that is why it sure seems that way that every time we do think about that, I'm like, yeah, yeah, like everybody else would say that, yeah, you want to know too that, anything that you want to add, or I'm like, but still, that, whenever you're trying to write a document for sure that what you're trying to do, and it's like, yeah, well, you start typing and all that, and anything that I'm like, yeah, yeah. So a lot of times, like if you're going to be putting in any quotation marks or anything like that, right here around these lines, but it's like, yeah, so it's like, so every time you do think about this, and you're always 102, every time I think about writing a document, it seems like that's not really considered to be professional just because you start writing in a few characters and you notice maybe a few typo errors and you got to go back and make corrections, and maybe if you have to go back and maybe add something and maybe do something, but still, that like everybody else would say, is to where you're trying to tell a story about something in 102 yeah, what exactly does pay it forward pretty much means? It means for the future, right? And I can go ahead and put on here on the top. It's like, for the future. So really, that every time I do think about that, and you're always thinking this toward it. Really, we don't really know the future very well, but still that. But if we were to say something like, yeah, be kind to our seniors and to those who are at need for getting something done, and to realize the special gift of thanks. And so really, what does that mean? Well, that means is to where that yeah, that you've been in there, you've been there at that situation, and you are willing to help somebody else out who is struggling, and also about is toward anything that maybe that this other person that doesn't understand about the situation. So really, that could be a number of reasons to explain about why is it that you were willing to do a favor for this other person, or you were being kind to them, and so really that so it sure seems that way that yeah, that to so let's just say that yeah, you start out this gift tag right here talking about for somebody that or that somebody that you want to buy a gift for. But let's just say that yeah, that I would say on here yeah, from student. That would probably be my response right there. And during the time that yeah, I would probably respond to if the gift was from me, that I would maybe yeah, respond to like yeah, talk about to student, or maybe I would say from uncle. And yeah, so if you were to actually buy a gift for somebody, or say special thanks, right? I would look at my identity more as for uncle, for uncle. And so it sure seems that way, like everybody else would say that that really, uncle could also mean can uncle mean not related, but you're willing to help out. And so it's like, yeah, I would look at that more as uncle. But like everybody else might say that you think about someone else who could use this, and so really that when we do think about pay it forward, that means is toward it yeah, that about the future, right? But knowledge for something, and so it's like yeah, so it's like so every time I do think about that, then you're thinking is toward that yeah, that do you really have to know the person just to be able to show that you're willing to help out with the situation? Do you really have to know I'm like yeah, do you really have to be related? But still it's like so each time you do think about that, and yeah, so it's like yeah, for for the feeling, and for a special gift of things, right? And the special gift of things. So that's usually the way I think about a special gift of things. So like yeah, you can include a gift wrap, and you can also include something like maybe with a message indicating about something that yeah, I heard about what happened, and I am sorry that for how much that you were for what you're going through, and so yeah, so it's like so each time you do think about that, and you're warned toward it, there's more that you can do than besides what was provided, and yeah, so it's like a claim, and is there more? Is there more that could have been provided? And so each time, like yeah, fair, fair share, and I guess yeah, fair, fair share, and sharing values. And I know a lot of professionals might even say that really, ain't that really about sharing? Sharing values, the fair share, and so really that yeah, you would maybe think that maybe that a lot of those questions would be about something that maybe insurance companies would even say too. That talk about for insurance companies, and but still that when we do talk about for pay it forward, that pretty much means is toward that you'll realize the situation if you've been there, you've been in that situation. But like everybody else might say that yeah, you come up to these situations to where that let's just say that yeah, and you come to the situation to where that yeah, a lot of it has to do with money, right? And so that's why it seems like yeah, that money to where if you are short if you are short $4 or something like that, for yeah, a lot of times if you are short $4, and if you were to put it says say something like that, if you were to write like that, and then until I'm like yeah, so how would you write that in like an equation? If you were to put like a comma until my friend until my friend came by to assist me with what was needed. So each time we do think about that, and really, if there's really a right or wrong way of how to explain the situation, why do you want to go ahead and put a dash right there? Why do you want to put a comma right here? Why do you want to include a few quotation marks? And to me, though, it's like a lot of doctors would say is toward it whenever you're in that situation to where you got a lot going on for sure. That it sure seems that way. That really that each time I've been there quite a few times, by the way, and to where you don't really realize the situation until but still, it's like one fact to remember, just knowing is to where that that yeah, that whenever you do think about that, is to where that, every time you think about that, you always want to know too that, you go ahead and write right here in small print. But the reason why I would write in small print right here is so that way, really, so that way I would be able to recognize it. I really would like to write a private message to somebody else, but let's just say if you were to go ahead and write a bigger message, for somebody else to read, and maybe you would write that in bigger print, right? And so it's like if we're talking about a document like this right here, I know, the things that you do know and the things that you do not know. Yeah, well, I didn't know, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That's why that maybe everybody seems to be mad all the time, right? The things that you didn't know. Okay, well, I didn't know. I didn't know, and let's just say that if we're talking about maybe for the professionals, the experts and the professionals, the things that maybe that they should know, and the things that maybe that they didn't realize during a time. And it's like, yeah, especially if you're going to be at the airport, especially if you're going to be in a hurry to take care of something, for sure, that you've been in those situations to where that, yeah, well, I didn't know from before. And that is why it seems like that, why is it that, you want to know too, that maybe if you would like to have like some sort of business card, indicating about what information that is needed. So it's like, yeah, information that is needed, for at need, and for what is at need. So it's like, yeah, so I guess, pay it forward, pretty much means that, right? Is to where it's at need. You don't know, what is at need. You don't know what is at need, but what are the needs? What are the suggestions? What is at need? And you don't realize it, until it's too late, and you may not realize it until that you read the details about. Okay, I heard about what happened, and so that's why it seems like that to where that it is at need, and so that is why it seems like that every time you do think about that, and you're 102 is to where okay, yeah, that's at need right there, and it knowing is to where yeah, if you can help out and if you cannot help out, but still, but it's like, yeah, so every time we do think about that, for pay it forward, what does that mean? A special gift of thanks, and then also at need. So if you're going to be at the store paying for something, right? If you're going to be at the store buying something and you don't know what to do, and that's why it seems like to where that yeah, for the future though, is to where that this pretty much means is to where somebody else took care of it for you. Yeah, they took care of it. Yeah, yeah, I took care of it, and I took care of this, and yeah, it's like a receipt, right? A gift, it's a receipt. So to me though, like in order to be able to make this more professional, right? You would mainly focus on this, the futures, to where it's been taken care of, especially to our seniors. Yeah, I took care of it already. It's at need. So really, when we do think about a pay it, yeah, for pay it forward, you would want to go ahead and focus mainly on this right here for the future. Yeah, I took care of this. You took care of it ahead of time, but you didn't tell the person right away until the situation was at need, right? So I guess if you want to kind of call it, is to where that yeah, you took care of it a year ahead of time, or it was for the future, right? And so really, it could be explained in a lot of ways, right? It could be explained in a lot of ways. But let's just say one of those ways to make it a little bit more easier to understand, yeah, like everybody say, yeah, to go easy, to make it easier to understand, especially for the seniors who have, who try to understand what this means and what that means and all that, and so the key factor, remember, is to know is that that try not to make it any harder than what it is, right? And but still, that talk about for special gift things, and so what is that need? And so like let's just say that tell everybody that you would really want to start out like a new document if you want to go ahead and add in but still that for at need. What I mean by that is to where that more information more information is needed you just to take care of the situation. And to think ahead of time. So each time, so I'll go ahead and highlight this right here, make it smaller so that way we can see this right here. But really, that talking about information, right? And so each time we do think about that in 102 that more information is needed just to take care of something. But like let's just say this to where that but do you think that maybe the situation should be about as to where if you took care of it ahead of time, but then let's just say that okay, most of the time it could be maybe weeks later, it could be later, and I'll go and put that on here for later right here. So it's like whenever you first starting learning this stuff, you might think as to where okay, I'll take care of it later on. But it's like but then what's another way of how to paraphrase for pay it forward right here is toward that now and so half the time it seems like that now at need. So half the time it seems like that every time if we would actually do the studies about this in typical psychology, and you're always 102 is to where that you put this maybe in a printed in quotation marks or something like that now at need. And so really I would not suggest to start out with an invoice with that, but like everybody else would say is to where if you're trying to if you're trying to take care of a situation for sure at need right here, and I can at need later, and then I'm like so at need and put double space or maybe not even double space, right? For at need, but now and now at need, and so really that if you want to put a comma right there, but really that I don't know. I think that would probably be more confusing, but people might even say that you would probably if anything use it maybe for the headline or maybe for the title or something like that. We need more information, and a lot of times this is usually what I see right here. What I usually see right here is that something like quote quote more information, and so really that the best way of how to take care of a situation like that and 102 is to where that if you were to include something like that, even on a gift receipt, is to where the more information is needed just to take care of something, ahead of time. But then if you were to put on here space right there and saying something like that I took care of this ahead of time. So really, if you were to write something like that, and like everybody else would say, is to word it really, please be more specific about that. I took care of this ahead of time when I was working, and I was doing more research, and realized what the situation was, and I was able to take care I was able to take care of the situation when I was able to make more time for that. So really, if you were to actually start out the sentence like that right there, and you're always 102, that you'll, yeah, extra time. Whenever it comes to extra time, yeah, it don't really have to be capitalized, but extra time and more time and so yeah, like yeah, everybody else might say this, where that every time we do think about time, we think about a measurement, right? And that's why it sure seems that way, to where that every time we think about that, and you're 102, that yeah, that no, the situation, yeah, you're trying to get so really, if you got a lot going on, like during the busy hours, right? If you have a lot going on during the busy hours, for sure that you're going to see a lot of mistakes. You're going to maybe see a lot of the situation, right? So that's why it sure seems that way. Yeah, the mistakes, and so I just really think in a lot of ways that really, what is the best solution for that? And I usually think about it as to where that you kind of get some ideas. You start writing down a lot of ideas. You start getting a lot of ideas, and just to think about that, ideas, and then to brainstorm. A lot of times, yeah, brainstorming, and so every time you do think about that, you're thinking is toward, okay, yeah, that you realize the situation and you're trying to make the corrections and all that, and so it's like so every time you do think about that, and it seems like that is to where that, yeah, do you think that maybe it would be helpful to go ahead and maybe you know to create a document, one for for, yeah, for the details at need for now, and then ones for later, and maybe something so yeah. So if you were to actually think about this, talk about for pay it forward right here, and if you would actually record this onto a document, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to explain what the situation was, and maybe the things for what you know now, and the things that you need to know for later in the future, and so somebody might even suggest that you go ahead and maybe try that as toward any personal message that you would like for somebody to read about, to explain the situation, right? And so that is why it seems like really, if that's really necessary, or but really that maybe not everybody is able to read yeah, but they didn't realize the situation. I was not able to read that the other person's mind about what was it that they were saying, and that is why it seems like to where that every time you do think about that, you go ahead and write on here for at need. And so if I were to go ahead and yeah, moving forward right here, and so like, let's just say if I were to like, yeah, at need right here, at need. So that's pretty much what it means when we're talking about for pay it forward, right? For at need. And so if you were to actually write that on here, is as to where to, as explained, for at need. Yeah, at need. Not everybody's going to know what the situation is, especially if you were to start out the sentence by saying is toward money. If you are short by $4, and yeah, if you not everybody's really going to know what all this means, just because, like you say the yeah, that so it's like a yeah. So that's why it sure seems that way, that every time you do think about that, and you're always 102, that you think ahead of time about what the situation could be. You think ahead of time about what the situation should have been, how it should have been handled. And that is why it seems like everybody else might say is toward, do you think that it would do any good to go ahead and write a message write a note, and then maybe to at your own time, to go ahead and write a letter to how the situation could have been and maybe should have been. And so that is why it seems like that every time I think about that in 102 is to where that, that pay it forward means is to where that pay it forward. That means is to where that go easy. Go easy, and So it's like to make it easier, and so that's why it seems like pay it forward. For easier. To go easy, and I usually see this. I usually see this mainly for for the seniors or anybody who's trying to get something done and trying to take care of something, and so that is why it seems like even though if you don't know the person very well, that you might think is toward it, that's right, that is somebody, whenever it comes to gifts and whenever it does come to personal favors, whenever it comes to favors, and maybe when it comes to some source of appreciation, and so that is why it seems like that doctor's notes, and whenever it comes to understanding something, and but really that so I'm just trying to show everybody here about talking about for what you didn't know and from what you do know now, and so really that I did not know that from before into from what I do know, and that is why it seems like that is toward well, how could you not have known, or that they don't really seem professional. That's not really professional if you don't really know, but still. But the way to put it though is toward that for what you assume about what the situation is, but really that it's okay. It is okay, and so each time you do think about that, and you always want to know too that it's okay, and you would usually say something like that whenever it comes to trying to take care of the situation, right? And that is why it seems like is toward it, even though if you don't have the best education in the world, that it seems like is toward it. What do you know? How do you know if you even qualify to be assistant, for somebody, and how do you know if you're even eligible? But like everybody else might say, is to where if you are able to read and understand something. But I am. Another thing that I want to talk about right here, is toward it. Why count on something? Why count on something I wrote, and why are you counting on something that I wrote? And like everybody else would say, is toward it, well, if that was your idea and you wrote that, and well, we can use it, so I can use it. Yep, so if you were to actually write something like that, maybe like on a note or something like that, why are you counting on something I wrote? And so it's like, so if you were to include that like on a message, and saying this toward it, you get maybe a message of a response, and saying this toward it, because I can use it. That's why, we can use it, and your supplies, and you're like, you name it. That you've been in those situations as to where that it was not in the instructions. You need to follow the instructions, and if it was like, the directions say, so it's like, the situation, like, that's my question right there. The directions. But this was not. It was not in the instructions. This was not in the directions. Those directions, they were properly followed, but these right here, this right here is what you see just because that yeah, I'm not going to delete that word. I'm just going to go and just add something. But in the situation, I usually use the situation, right? Yeah, so put on here the situation that the situation and okay, that the situation, and then go ahead and put on here, okay, and then not in the situation, but the directions. So yeah, but anyway, so every time you do think about that, and you're always want to know too, is toward it. Yeah, the directions need to be followed properly. But then it was, if it was not, the situation is to where the directions were followed, but you went ahead and you added in some details right there. So yeah, you added this. So if you were to put on here is toward I added a few suggestions. So every time you do think about that, and you're always 102, the directions were not properly followed. That's incorrect right there. And I'm about ready to say that, well, really, how do you know that? How do you know that the directions? I'm like, yeah, how do you know that? And to me, though, I've been there in that situation a number of times, by the way. I've been there in that situation too many times to where that whenever you get ready to mail something or to maybe to send something, and people are saying this to where that all the requirements are not there. Like, and yeah, they are. The requirements are there. The requirements are there, but really, the requirements, everything is there. Everything is there, but it was just it goes by so yeah. So every time you think about that, and you're always 102 as to where that yeah, it's all about the system. I guess the electronic system needs to recognize the activity and what is needed, but half the time it's like every time you think about that pay it forward though, and you're always thinking as to where really, why are you making it a lot harder than what it really is? And so it's like that's why it seems like that to where the situation right here. So yeah, the directions were not in the situation. So yeah, a lot of times it's about the directions, the requirements, right? And so yeah, the requirements are, oh my god, yeah, so yeah, requirements. So yep, those requirements for sure are going to get somebody frustrated knowing that from how much time. It seems like the more time more time you spend, the more time spent, the more time you spend looking at something, and it sure seems that way. That how do you even know if it's less time or if it's more time whenever it comes to understanding and realizing what is needed? And that is why it seems like everybody else would say, is to where that more time or less time, but really that. So every time you do think about that, and you're always thinking as to where I can go and include right here on the bottom right here for highlight for the future right here, is to where I took the extra time to set a plan. I took the extra time to set a plan. So like yeah, if you would actually write like this right here, maybe use bullets right here. yeah, so something like that, that maybe that you would see, but and then also, well, right here, and I took the extra time to set a plan period, and then right down here on this next line, you would put on here that yeah, and you can maybe put like that too if you wanted to, if like everybody else, they say that especially yeah, yeah, while I was sleeping. Just to make the long story short, while I was sleeping, I been thinking about it. So every time, like, yeah, everybody might even say too that while you were sleeping, you were thinking about what? Like, while I was sleeping, I was thinking about the situation and maybe what could have gone better, and but so yeah, so if you would actually take down notes of something like this, that I took care of it. I took the extra time to set a plan. I took care of it ahead of time. So yeah, so these right here, yeah, these right here are like four agendas, right? And this right here, for need for later on. So like, let's just say that if you were to have these right here, mainly to focus on, right? And that right there seems like a lot of information, but let's just say that just for your reference though, and like let's just say that if we're talking about 3 years, if we're talking about 3 years into the future, right? Maybe 1 year, a lot there's probably a lot of applications right there that cannot expand more than 1 year. So I'll go and just say 1 year. Yeah, 1 year. 1 year. So like, let's just say that this right here is the plan. This right here is the agenda right here. And so it's like, yeah. So if you would actually write like this right here, include right here is like a space right there. But if you would actually write right here, and just set an agenda and any task, and then but still something for that you can go ahead and show. I'm like, yeah, if you want to share with somebody, but if you want to go ahead and show somebody to where they can read it right here, right? And you want to know too that you're always asking, well, why didn't I think about that? Or yeah, why okay, yeah, it seems like there's always something missing about it, and so it sure seems that way. That every time you do think about that for the future, right? For the future, I took care of this, and that is why it seems like that to where that every time I don't really I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but anyway, I was thinking about putting space right there, but still. But it's like every time you do think about that, for the future, I took care of this, and I took the extra time to set a plan. I took care of it ahead of time, and so really that, and if I could go ahead and put on here like I can put that in between this right here, put that, and I can say it's like time. By the daily task. And so, like, let's just say that the daily task would maybe be by midnight or something like that. By midnight, this would work, for what is needed. So each time we do think about that, and you're thinking that, okay, yeah, that, so whenever you do think about that, and want to know too, that, okay, yeah, that, you go ahead and highlight this right here that, I took the extra time, but really, what does this mean right here? What is, while I was sleeping, I've been thinking about it, the situation. So really, that so anybody that especially psychologists, doctors and psychologists would even say too that while you were dreaming, while you were dreaming that you've been thinking about, so yeah, I could even mention right here too, talking about, dreaming, dreaming, and you were thinking, you were dreaming about, being being a hero, or if anything, being somebody to be more of assistant, for somebody, and dreaming, and so really, what do our dreams really tell us, really? But still, but really, what does that mean right there? And I can just say real quick right here, while I was sleeping, that I've been thinking about it, and you were thinking about what? I'm like, well, I was actually thinking about that, is to where that whenever you do start working on something, it sure seems that way, to where it's not going to do no good, because number one, all the requirements are not here. All the requirements are not here. I don't know if it's really useful, and so a lot of things that you really just don't know, but everybody else might even say too that the things that you do know, and so yeah, whenever you do read something for somebody, and so yeah. But what does that mean whenever I do talk about, while I was sleeping, I been thinking about it, and really, what does that mean? Well, it means is to where that that I can go and put right here on the bottom. I can go and just write in smaller letters right here, is to where that that while I was laying down resting. Yeah, while I was laying down resting, I took the extra time to really think about the situation, and to realize what better I can do to to help the situation, and also for what is needed based from my ideas. So, like, let's just say that the situation was, is to where that realized. I'm trying to say realized, but it's okay. So yeah, so if you would actually be writing this right here in 102, that while I was while you're sleeping, you're not really working while you're sleeping, right? So every time you do think about that, and you're thinking about that, to where that while you're sleeping, you're not really working, but still, while you're sleeping, you're dreaming, right? And whenever you're dreaming, that you dream about what the situation could be, is as to where that really, if the situation does get any worse, and you want to try to prevent it from getting any worse than what it really is, you want to try to figure out what better situation is to be able to to be able to solve the situation, right? So that's why it seems like each time I do think about that 102, is toward while you were sleeping, though, and so really that a lot of times I think about that too, is to where that that you think that a lot of progress is being made, maybe while you're resting, and then to give your mind a break from the situation, and also to kind of clear your mind and give your mind a rest, and so that way so it's like so really that if this right here was actually was a Word document, or maybe if we're talking about an Excel file or something like that, or any source of programming, and 102 is to where that what you're trying to build here, you're trying to build an understanding about the situation, right? It's all recorded onto a document, but what's one way of how to explain? I've talked about for special things a special gift of thanks right here. Talk about for Mother's Day, or if it's any other source of situation, right? And well, I know, I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and move this over here, by the way. Yeah. Move this, but still. Okay. But I just really thinking like, yeah, at need or later, but yeah, I know. I'm trying to make some adjustments here, but it's like, yeah, go ahead and just make that a little bit smaller. But I really that each time we do think about that, and you're thinking is to where that yeah, at need, and so it's like every time you do think about that, and you would they would maybe tell you that to try to provide this to where that we can better understand the situation, and if you can go and write a letter, separate a document, one for at need later on, for at need now, or maybe something that had to be corrected or something like that. So it sure seems that way that, yeah, I took the extra time to set a plan. I took care of this ahead of time. And so every time you do think about stuff like that, and you're thinking as to where that, really, do you really have to know what it means, or that really, that showing that you care, showing that I'm like, yeah, that, the true meanings that you care. The true thought, the true thinking, the true meaning of caring. So every time you do, feelings, the thoughts and feelings, right? And so every time you think about that, I'm always thinking about that. Is to where that, what exactly is it that you're thinking about? And, you don't realize the situation until it's too late. And then, you may think as to where that the situation could have gone a lot easier, a lot smoother if you would have known. And, that is why it seems like that, maybe an invoice at about this link right here would be, I'm like, yeah, like everybody says, to where that the professional way of how to handle it, I think, would be is to where if you go ahead and type a document, something like this right here, to where it explains right here, one paragraph right here to talk about for the ticket that, like, yeah, for talk about for the future. Take care of this, that I took care of this, and something like this, but then, knowing that, explained on an actual document where you can actually put the date in, and maybe, that's going to include something about, from what, so like everybody else might say, is to where like an agenda, and the agenda would be, I'm like, so yeah, so I, you're dreaming, agenda. To set an agenda and set a plan, right? And so every time you do think about that, and you're always thinking as to where that what does that mean, or what does that have anything to do with what I was talking about from earlier? And so yep, so every time you think about that, you're always thinking as to where well, I have absolutely no idea how it worked, but it worked. And so really that so I guess people might say that you go ahead and write down a few there, but then knowing about that that it works. It worked. Yep, yeah, it worked. Or that works. So really, the key factor to remember is knowing as to where it worked. If it worked, or if it didn't work, and but still, that works. And so really, that the way I think about it too, though, that when we do think about for pay it forward is another way of starting to talk about for the gift of kindness, right? Special thanks. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.